Welcome to National Inventor Club. We have a special interview today. We brought Elizabeth Foster. She is the VP of Content and Communication with Licensing International. Welcome to National Inventor Club, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for having me.
We've seen you in the past on some of our other events that we've had, and we brought you on today to help us as inventors, to give us kind of the lay of the land of what Licensing International is about, how inventors can get involved and when they should get involved. And then I believe that there's some amazing up and coming events that we can hear about and decide if we want to come. So Elizabeth, if you can start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, because I know that you have a very interesting background. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yes, very excited to be back and chatting with the community again today. So I'm the VP of Content and Communications at Licensing International, but my background's actually in journalism. I studied journalism and worked for years in newspapers and magazines. That's actually how I first found the brand licensing industry. I started reporting on it. And then, as many of us like to say in the industry, we just sort of fell into it. And I've been in love with it ever since. So now I'm working at the Global Trade Association that serves the industry, and very excited to be chatting with your inventor community and helping them better understand what exactly we're up to and how they can take full advantage of beloved brands that really connect with consumers.
That's fantastic. And people don't realize, Elizabeth, that licensing and brand property licensing or brand licensing is all around us. We don't even realize it when we're going to the stores and we see different properties. It could be Nike, it could be sports, whatever it is, that are attracting or catching our attention, and they're attached to some kind of product or industry or category. It's interesting how it all comes together, and much of it is through Licensing International, all the connections that the agencies make and the licensees and the licensors, and you'll explain all that, I know. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you've seen it, you see it everywhere, and you'll realize just how much licensing is already involved in your life.
Awesome. So I know that you put a couple slides together here. We're calling this our fireside chat. We like to keep in touch, keep people posted and up to date of what's going on at Licensing International. So please go ahead.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So to start, I just want to make sure everyone is familiar with brand licensing. So that's the process of allowing a third party, often a manufacturer, which we refer to as a licensee, to create and distribute products featuring a brand, character, or imagery. So that's under license from the owner, the licensor. So that's how licensing works. And we also love to point out that it's not limited to products. That's often how we talk about it. But experiences, as we all know, location-based entertainment is huge right now. People love to gather together outside of the home. Things like pop-up shops, theme parks, live shows, they can also be branded, and that happens through a licensing agreement. So again, you have the licensee, the licensor, collaborating together to create something that really connects with consumers.
When we go to the stadium and we go into a gift shop there's, whether it's NFL or NBA, go Knicks, not this season, but all different types of sporting events or characters. We go into Target or Walmart and we see all these different products that have recognized brands or characters on them. So in that case, Elizabeth, when we see, let's say, SpongeBob on Band-Aids, who would be the licensor and who would be the licensee?
Absolutely. So the licensee is the company that manufactures the Band-Aids, and they are creating that product with the SpongeBob character under license from the brand owner. So the licensee creates the product, the licensor owns the brand, for example, the character, and inks the agreement that allows the manufacturer to use that image.
Excellent.
So we have just some examples here. So again, it can be anything from apparel and footwear to toys to food and beverage. So anytime you see a brand that you love on a product, there's a good chance that it's licensed. And so what we also really love to focus on and really highlight is that brand licensing creates an emotional connection between a consumer and a brand. It really touches on the way that we care for example, specific characters. And so what we see a lot of in the research that we do is that licensing has a huge effect on retail sales, because for a consumer who's out in a store, if they're choosing between, for an example, a t-shirt for their child that doesn't have any branding compared to a t-shirt that features, a beloved cartoon character or a superhero, the emotional connection that we feel for those characters and those brands really encourages purchases, because it allows us to take part of that brand home with us, to be part of our lives. And it's also a way for us to communicate to other people the things that we care about. It's a way to connect with others and to connect with the IP.
So for example, Elizabeth, I'm an inventor. I have different products that I've licensed. So in this way, the way you're describing it, so I came up with a snack container that I thought would look cool to have a face on it. And so you open it up, you put your snacks in here, you close it, and you can give it to the child. The parent can put it in their purse or in the car seat, whatever it is. And then you just open and you eat it. So I thought, as I was designing this, that it would look cool to have a face on it. So I went to a company that was in storage containers, kitchen type of gadgets. And they said, you know what? We're in the middle of doing this deal. I would like to work on this design. So what they did was they licensed my intellectual property, my design on this. Then they went to Elmo, Cookie Monster, which is Sesame Street, and then even Nickelodeon. And what they did was they have the rights now, or they did, to manufacture my product, add some brand property to it, and every time one of them sells, they would have to pay me, and they would have to pay Sesame Street or Nickelodeon. So those are the type of opportunities that are out there as an inventor also on both sides. But also, if we are coming up with it and I wanted to do this with myself, I could go to try to get a licensing deal with Sesame Street or Nickelodeon, right?
Absolutely. And one of the incredible things about sort of the example that you've just given is that the product not only benefits from sort of the love that a lot of people have for example, Sesame Street, but also the trust they have in that brand. And that is a lot of the power of brand licensing, that it's maybe because it's this very exciting new format, this new invention that you've brought to the table that, a parent's maybe not as familiar with in terms of storage containers that they already have in their kitchen, but you get all of the benefits of this brand that you're partnering with. And so it really strengthens a product. And that kind of two-pronged approach is what's really exciting about licensing, is that you have all of the incredible benefits of a brand and then something brand new and exciting, something the consumer's never seen before in terms of this new invention. So there are a lot of really amazing opportunities for inventors and brand owners to collaborate and really catch people's attention.
Excellent.
So the brand licensing industry is huge. So sales of licensed products and services in 2024 reached $369.6 billion.
Wow.
And that's a 3.7% increase compared to the year before. And we only expect this number to continue to grow. So it's a very big, very exciting industry to be a part of.
And it's connected to retail. So I guess it could also be cyclical, but realistically, like for example, even with my snack containers, if this was just a regular snack container, maybe people wouldn't really know about it. But just having the recognition of a brand on it makes a big difference. So, I mean, that's an exorbitant 369 billion. That's a serious number. That's a big chunk of retail.
It is. And actually, on the next slide, I talk about how licensed products and services outperformed the overall retail market. So again, we touched on this a little bit before, but brands are a difference maker for consumers. So even when discretionary spending might be down, branded products are a difference maker. It can be kind of the difference between a purchase or a non-purchase in terms of that connection with the consumer. There's something emotional about brands that we really connect with, and it really can be the driving force in terms of translating into sales.
Even if people don't necessarily have a product or some kind of art, different types of intellectual property, to be involved with licensing international here, just to be able to understand this industry and the facts and the dominance that it has in retail is very interesting of how this all works. So I know that people definitely find this educational as well, but some people will find it a way to build up their intellectual property by building assets with their brand property or with their invention, which is also a type of intellectual property, a patent, for example, even a trademark, right?
Absolutely. So product licensing, similar to brand licensing, but it's the process of allowing that third party, so the licensee, the manufacturer, to create and distribute products using the inventor's unique design or invention. So as you'd mentioned, so for you, connecting with that company that's creating the storage products, taking your invention to them and allowing them, partnering with them to launch a new product. Also, if an inventor is manufacturing their own product, they could partner with a brand owner to bring that character, for example, into the product that they are creating. So inventors really can live on both sides in terms of being the licensor, where they are allowing someone to manufacture a product using their design or invention. Or if you are manufacturing something, an entire product that's your own invention, you could partner with a brand owner and have a character incorporated into that product. So there are definitely lots of opportunities for inventors in the brand licensing space.
And just as far as expectations, so let's say I'm an inventor, I have a product I've been manufacturing, I build up some sales history, I have my manufacturers in place, I'm able to handle production correctly, I have good numbers as well. Then I can go to one of the brand properties and say, hi, my name is Brian, I have this product, I think we can sell a ton more with your whether it's a logo, a swoosh, whatever it is, and that's going to be able to identify. People will identify with that, but they'll also identify now with my unique product. Let's say my invention, and so I would most of the time I would pay them in advance, and as each one of them sells, I would pay them a royalty. And there's certain minimums that you need to hit and all that, not to get into the weeds there, but just to understand that it's kind of reversed with an inventor looking for a licensee for their invention where a company's already manufacturing, distributing, and you earn a royalty, right? So it's interesting how an inventor, let's say they come up with something really interesting, a bat, like this unique bat, and they wanted to put all Major League Baseball teams on it, right? So kind of going through and going through Major League Baseball and talking to them about adding all their logos of the baseball teams onto the baseball bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And for sort of inventors in your community who have more questions about some of the details of the agreements, things like you'd mentioned, royalty rates, minimum guarantees, things like that, on Licensing International's website, we do have some examples of agreements that are, the specific details are blanked out, but you can read through and understand sort of how some of the terms are set up, what the agreements involve to help you better understand, everything that goes into that type of a deal.
Your website has a wealth of information, resources, keeping up with all the events, just getting the newsletter, and just staying up to date with all that's going on. What's the website?
Yes. So we are at licensinginternational.org.
Okay.
So a little bit more about us, just that's kind of a great note to switch to in terms of, Licensing International. As I'd mentioned, we're the leading trade association for the global brand licensing industry. We have a corporate membership. So that means that a company that becomes a member with our association, every single employee gains access to benefits. And our membership is done in terms of tiers that are based on your licensing activity. We also have tiers for startups and sole proprietors. More information, again, is on the website. We're headquartered in New York City, but we have managing directors in Australia, Brazil, China, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK. Our managing directors are incredible. They are industry experts. They have so much knowledge of their specific territories, and they're incredibly helpful when it comes to helping our members expand, find partners in different regions, things like that. And our members are brand owners, manufacturers, retailers, agents, service providers, and they span every industry you can imagine: sports, fashion, entertainment, art, museums, basically anything that can possibly be licensed. We've got it covered.
Wow. So when you're talking about manufacturers and retailers, so I mean, there are so many different parts of the licensing process here, and all the different parts. So it could be the licensor and the licensee, and then the manufacturers get involved if they're also deciding to find a brand that they want to put on some product that they're manufacturing. But I know also that there's art. It doesn't always have to be product. It could be art. What other types of ways are there to work with licensing?
I would say certainly one of the big ones that we're seeing a ton of growth in right now would be experiential. So everything from, the biggest theme park that you can find to a tiny little pop-up experience, live shows, restaurants, hotels. So it can be a product. It can also be an experience. And it's really, I would say there truly are no limits in terms of licensing. If it doesn't exist, it's just because somebody hasn't thought of it yet, in which case you're on the cutting edge and you can kind of lead the charge, but it's constantly evolving, constantly expanding.
I give these examples of kind of my experience just so others can understand also the different types of opportunities. So back in the day, now I'm going to outdate myself a little bit, or date myself a little bit, I guess. I decided that emoticons and acronyms were cool outside of cell phones and computers. So what I did was I trademarked LOL with a smiley face, SUP with a question mark, TTYL, all these different kind of emoticons and acronyms that it was really the kids back in the day. Now everybody's using them. But what I did was I trademarked them in several classes of goods: backpacks, bags, stationery, t-shirts, all these different things. And I built a portfolio of these trademarks in the certain class of goods. And then I brought it to different manufacturers that have distribution licensees for me that were able to bring my brand onto their products and then sell it into retail. So I earned royalties from my designs that I trademarked. So just different things and different ways to be able to generate revenue from your intellectual property. And like you mentioned, it doesn't have to be specifically product. It could be art as well. And I know going to the shows, there's a lot of art, which really is pretty much everything how it starts off, right? Before it's
Mhm.
going on a product.
Absolutely. Yeah. You also have celebrities as well that
Okay,
are working with name, image, and likeness.
that's great.
And so I wanted to highlight a couple of upcoming events. So, Brand Licensing Europe, which will take place in the UK, October 7th to 9th this year, 2025. China Licensing Expo in Shanghai, October 15th to 16th, 2025. The International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, that's in Orlando, from November 18th to 21st, 2025. And then Licensing International's Hall of Fame and Rising Star Awards. So we hold those in New York on December 3rd. So again, that's this year, 2025.
Now, for example, like the amusement park show, that's got to be a lot of fun.
It's huge. It's a massive show. It's incredible. And it's also actually one of the shows where you can simply walk onto a booth and start a conversation. That's not true at every show. So, for example, at Brand Licensing Europe or at Licensing Expo, which happens in Las Vegas each year, the expectation would be that once you register for the event, you go through the event's matchmaking and calendar systems, and you reach out to other attendees and schedule meetings. So for Licensing Expo, a lot of executives are in meetings back to back all day, and simply walking onto a booth to sit down isn't as feasible. So it's helpful to chat with someone who's familiar with the events, which our team at Licensing International is a great place to start to get a bit more information so that you can plan ahead for these types of events and come in feeling really prepared and ready. We chatted a little bit about the fact that it's, brand owners attend, soda manufacturers, retailers, agents, service providers, they're all there. Networking is a big part of these events, but it's also a space to really ink licensing agreements. So executives are focused on forging deals. And so the expectation would be, if you're attending some of these events, that you're in a place where you are ready to sign those agreements and start moving. So any brand owners or manufacturers would be looking for sort of all of the appropriate legal documentation, that you would be in a place where you are really ready to move forward from that event.
So you mentioned that there's various levels of membership,
Mhm.
but with these expos, all are open to attend?
Yeah, absolutely. And so with the tiers for membership, it has to do with the cost involved. But every single member, regardless of what tier you're in, you get access to all of the benefits at Licensing International. And some of the benefits that we provide are actually related to these shows. So you can get discounts to register, for example, if you're in a place where you wanted to have a booth and you wanted to be participating in the show in that way. Our members also get discounts on that front.
Very interesting. For inventors, when we decide to sign up and come to one of your events, what sort of expectations do you think we should have when we're kind of signing up and all of a sudden we show up on the trade floor?
Absolutely. I would say, the first advice I like to give to everyone is wear really comfortable shoes. The shows are huge. The floors are very large. It's a lot of square mileage to navigate. But I would say the most important thing would be to do as much research as you can. Generally speaking, all of these events have, once you've registered, you get access to all of the other attendees. And so you can look into, for example, so who's going to be there exhibiting, who will have booths that you could potentially connect with, and schedule meetings. So I would say spend a lot of time thinking about your invention, who your key audience would be, and for example, what brands would help you connect with that audience. So if you've invented something that would be a great fit for example, I know we chatted about this earlier, something relating to barbecuing, regardless of what the invention might be. If you feel like a great connection for you is a sports brand, and that, tailgating and barbecuing and that entire lifestyle and the way that people connect with barbecuing and with sports, then I would say come in understanding who your targets are, what they already have for products, what their current range looks like, where they potentially have holes. I think the expectation is from the brand licensing community would be that you know who you are, what you offer, and who you want to connect with, and that truly will take you so far in terms of the conversations that you can have.
So Elizabeth, Licensing International has me as the inventor liaison.
Yes.
And there are many inventors that sometimes hear licensing and they're thinking royalties and everything else in many different ways. So the way that I kind of like to put it, so let's say if I am manufacturing a product and I want to see about adding a brand to my product to be able to really gain some recognition and exposure and really differentiate myself, especially having hopefully some sort of intellectual property like a unique invention with something else on it to really boost sales. Hopefully that's the goal. So that's the brand licensing. Then sometimes an inventor might have a prototype, or they make a video and they're showing what their invention is, and they're at your show. Those inventors would go to companies that are manufacturers that have new or have brands on their products. So if I'm an inventor and I went into a retail store, and let's say I went into Target and I found a product that had, let's say, NFL, National Football League, I would flip over that package and I would see a company on there, and then I would see licensed by or licensed with NFL, for example, right? So that company is the one that if I want to license, let's say for royalties, I would go to them because I know that they already have the brand National Football League on their products. So those are the type of thoughts that when an inventor goes to the show to say, am I going to add a product to my a brand to my product, my invention that I'm manufacturing, or am I going to find a company that's already manufacturing and has that logo and I would add my product to their product line?
Exactly. Which is why it's been so fantastic partnering with you, because the way that you are able to really break down those differences and connect with the inventors and help guide them as they're entering the licensing world, and the way that we're able to really collaborate on that has been fantastic.
Well, you and your team and Maura, everybody does an amazing job with education and the events. I mean, if you have these, you all have done this for a long time because it's very well organized. Everybody's there to do business, and it's just a great experience. So if you haven't gone to one of these, you should definitely go with the right expectations that you set for yourself. And Licensing International has open arms for anybody at any level, which is fantastic. So the website has all this information on it with upcoming events, resources, education. Elizabeth, the name of the website one more time, the web address?
Yes, it's licensinginternational.org.
Thank you so much. Elizabeth, I always like to kind of ask this for people that I'm interviewing and having these fireside chats. So you're working with many different entrepreneurs, inventors, successful businesses and brands and agencies that are representing these brands. For us as inventors, when we're kind of on our journey, what's some words of wisdom from you that you can help us to keep moving forward with our ideas? We're inventing, most of the time we want to make money with it. Some people are happy hanging a patent on their wall, but ultimately we want to make money. What's your final words for us?
I would say, please keep going. Follow your intuition, continue on the path, because all anyone wants in the licensing industry and in business in general is that point of difference. Looking for something that is new, that is exciting, that helps them stand out on shelves or online. And inventors are such an incredible source of that point of difference, of that exciting next big thing. And so I would say, continue on, don't get discouraged, and anytime that we can be a resource to help you understand where you can find a way into licensing, who you can be connecting with, how you can take full advantage of things like trade shows and the events that we've mentioned. Obviously, Brian is an incredible resource. We are here as a resource. And so please just keep going, because we're all excited to see what it is that you end up creating.
Thank you so much. Elizabeth Foster from Licensing International. Again, you're the VP of Content and Communication. I know you have your hands full. You're definitely putting out great content and information out there, keeping everybody all together and in the know, and all the industry activity that's going on. There's so many deals that are happening that it's almost like you can't keep up. When you're talking about $300+ billion, there's definitely some action going. So let's keep in touch. Inventors, entrepreneurs, startups, keep in touch. Licensing International. Elizabeth, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was a wrap for National Inventor Club and Licensing International. It's always great to hear it from the source, and Licensing International is a powerful organization. Definitely check them out. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.